Seminarian teaching, how different. I was teaching in a co-institutional school, which meant it had boys and girls, but the boys and girls were separated. So I had this class of girls for geometry. I still remember the girl's name, Stephanie, right? And Stephanie, so it's my first year teaching geometry, and I call on Stephanie, and she did not do her homework. I said, Stephanie, come on up to the board. Okay, so we walked through it, and I said, now, Stephanie, if you would have spent more time at home, you could have gotten this. I don't know what you expect of us. And it was a whole semester, I think, before Stephanie would even talk to me. She'd see me coming down the hallway and, one of those. Which, it's the ability of boys to swing between these polarities. I think that's one thing that really makes them kind of fun. And there's less drama. I mean, you don't have drama, you don't have baggage that you carry around all the time, which I think is a really good thing. So let's go on. Because of these polarities and how they swing, one of the things I think that we adults need to do is to provide some stability for them, because they're swinging in these things, and we need to be that plumb line here that says, this is where we should be going. This is where we should be going. And this one author of this one book says it's heroism on the part of parents to be consistent and to be simple and to give lifelong love. Right? Separate the deeds from them, to give them love, but be consistent, be consistent, be consistent, be consistent. Personally, I think, and I don't know if, I know a lot of people live in divorce situations now, but personally, I think it's really hard on a teenager when parents are divorced and you have shared custody, and I know some of you here probably do that, but especially if you and your ex disagree on how he should be raised, that's really difficult. It's really difficult for him to be in this situation for 2 or 3 days, and this situation for 2 or 3 days, where the expectations and the standards are totally different. And so, for the sake of your son, you ought to get together on what are the standards that we set for him, because consistency, it's really critical for teenagers. What else do adults need to do? I think you need to teach like Jesus taught. And how did Jesus teach? By word and example, by word and example. The Old Testament, when you read the Old Testament, it's like raising a little child, right? Because God says to the Hebrews, this is what you should do. And if you do this, everything's going to be fine for you. And if you don't do it, you're going to be punished, which is exactly what you say to children, right? Do this, reward, punishment. That's what you do with children before they can reason. And then you get to the adolescent years, and I think it's very much like Jesus' years, right? Jesus never gave rewards and punishment, never. All he did was teach over and over and over again. Sometimes you read the Gospels, and you think, how many times do you have to say this to them before they get it? But he kept saying it over and over and over again. Then he would do it by example. Look, I'm washing your feet. Why am I doing this? You should do it for one another. Okay, examples and words over and over and over. And I think that's what, parents have to do with adolescents. You have to face it. Reward and punishment won't work. There's a certain age, whatever that age is in your household, reward and punishment simply will not work anymore. It won't. So, it may be difficult, but you have to over and over and over and over tell him why. Tell him why. Why do I have to be home at 11? Why do I have to be home at 11:30? Because. We had another situation here with another parent, I think, that understood them but did not really, was not helping them. Well, water polo, we won the water polo championship one year, right? And so this parent helped the students to get these water polo championship shirts, official St. Francis water polo championship shirts. Don't be shocked by what I say. So it said, Knights, state champions, water polo, right? And I had this guy in his Speedo with a helmet, a knight's helmet, and he's got 2 water polo balls, right? And, he's holding them, and it says, who's got the balls now, right? Yeah, and, we had, so I asked somebody here, get those shirts, and it was dragging on and on and on and on. I told them to bring them in, they're not bringing them in, so I said, get these guys together. So I got them together, and I said, oh, guys, we can't have these shirts out there. You know that, right? I said, I personally think they're pretty clever, but we cannot have those out there as official St. Francis water polo shirts. So get them all in, and it took a 15-minute meeting, but they understood. They understood. Yes, of course, we know that, but you have to take the time to explain it. Take time to explain it, because they get to a certain age, and it's not a matter just of saying, do this, don't do this, like with little children. It's a matter of explaining why. Why? Because I worry about you, because I care about you. I'm not checking up on you, but I need to know. I don't want to have to worry about you, on and on and on and on. Okay? And the last thing here, adults, we need to give them rituals, because guys like rituals. Guys like rituals and tradition. I think about school here. I think about school. We have all kinds of things here at school. We have an opening school liturgy that's kind of a ritual. A football team, a basketball team goes through certain rituals. We have a junior ring mass that's a ritual, whether you get a ring or not. We have senior privileges, the senior steps, these are rituals. We have Knights of Honor, we have graduation, Collegium Honorum. We have all kinds of things, an Irish Night Rally, athletic awards ceremonies. We have rituals. They love them. They love rituals. And what do rituals do? They give you the opportunity to teach by word, example, and symbol. Word, example, symbol. That's what rituals can do. And there's a great book called Raising a Modern Day Knight. It was written by a Christian minister, and he wrote for dads raising teenagers. And he talked about these rituals. And he said it's so important to give your sons rituals. So at certain moments, maybe when he gets his driver's license, this is a time for a ritual. This is a step towards manhood. Come on, let's go. I'm going with you. You drive. Take me for a ride. Come on, you've got your license now. Or something else. You go to baseball games with your dad, or you go to a fishing trip, but you do something. You go hunting with your dad. But to do things that are rituals. Discipline, of course, we do have to discipline, right? Discipline comes from the Latin word discere, which means to learn. So discipline should not be so much a matter of what you're doing to him as much as a matter of him being able to learn something about himself. And this is a great quote from Hebrews. Whenever you discipline your son, tell him you're doing it because you don't want him to be considered the last word there, right? You want him to be considered a son, not a bastard, okay? But discipline's really important. And discipline needs mercy, okay? Justice needs mercy balanced with it. The Merchant of Venice, balance justice seasoned with mercy. Have to have that. I think you also have to realize, fairness, being fair is not always just. Being fair is equal. Being equal may or may not be right. Being just, doing the right thing is always right. And, that's really a difficult thing to do in a school, because you have discipline issues, and maybe it should not always be the same, because fairness is not necessarily just because of other circumstances that happen. It's important too, I think, when you discipline, to again build him up. We had a guy freshman year, teacher takes the students down to see a show at the Peristyle. And this goofy freshman, during the show, these Skittles, candies, right? He's sitting there in front row, throwing them up on the stage, right? And it got so bad, they had to stop the show, actually, right? They had to stop the show. So he comes back here, I get him in my office, and I just ripped on him. I ripped him and told him, what a stupid thing you did. You embarrassed our school, you embarrassed the teacher, you made him cancel the production, you did everything wrong. No teacher is going to want to take freshmen out on a field trip again. You have ruined this, not only for your class, you've ruined it for future classes. You've brought black eye on us. You are totally, totally, totally wrong through this whole thing. And he's crying in my office. And I said, but there's one good thing. There's one good thing. I said, at least you're man enough to admit it. And so that's someplace to go forward with. And so I think when you discipline them, tear them down, but you also have to build them up. You have to build them up. You have to do that too. And discipline, as they say, it should be woven into the whole web. Okay, it's systematic to build character, to build self-esteem. And, I think sometimes you have to be willing to laugh at it too and admit if you're wrong, I remember my first year teaching again. This one student's in the class. I still have this stainless steel ruler. I took it from him. But he's in class banging the stainless steel ruler on his desk. I said, stop it, stop. He's still banging. I grabbed it and I said, will you stop doing this? And I threw the ruler down, and one bold student in the first row says, it was Mr. O then. Mr. O, does your hand hurt? I said, no, why? And he said, there's blood dripping off it. And I cut myself, so it's time to laugh, okay? But, when you're disciplining, keep it all in perspective. Keep it all in perspective. And be reasonable, as a previous slide said, be reasonable and be fair. Be consistent. Be consistent. Not fair, be consistent. These are some things, I asked my students, what should I tell parents about teenagers? I'm going to rip through these quickly. Keep on doing what you do. Let the kids push you away. Don't push them away. Let them push you away. Realize the age of your sons. They're adults. Well, they think they are. Okay? That third one's important. No punishment can stop behavior. And you know that, I think, when he gets to be 15, 16, 17, he can dig in his heels. And he can be as obstinate as possible. And you've lost it then. He should know he should be able to call his parents for help. He should have respect. You should be involved. You should have phone numbers. This is what they say. You should have phone numbers of their friends and their families. But know that they don't want you to check on them too much. Be friendly. Don't be a friend. Trust them. Pray. Give unconditional positive regard. This here, I think, is important. Again, this book, Simplicity Parenting. There's this whole generation that people call helicopter moms. Helicopter moms that just hover over their children. They don't let their children do anything for themselves. They try to control everything for their children. Okay, but this person, I wrote this book, Simplicity Parenting. This is a good thing to keep in mind. Building character and emotional resiliency is a lot like developing a healthy immune system. They need to be exposed to things. By overprotecting them, in the long run, we're leaving them vulnerable. Okay, and we have to let them handle their own problems. Again.